Welcome back to the news at 10. The Deputy Country Representative of the United Nations Women, Mrs. Anjarotu Ndiaye, has appealed to the federal government to match words with action in the involvement of women in governance. Ms. Ndiaye, who spoke at a meeting in Abuja, said the government must continue to play a key role in women's participation and representation through legal reforms. Other gender experts at the meeting frowned on the involvement of just 5% of women in the nation's decision-making process. Now, Anambra State delegates at the ongoing national conference have asked the Governing Council of the Nnamdi Azikiwe University, Awka, to revisit the process that produced the new Vice-Chancellor of the university. The former Minister of Health, Professor Nwosu, who spoke on behalf of his colleagues when they visited Governor Willie Obiano at the Government House in Awka, warned against the dangers of compromise in an institution associated with prominent Anambra indigents, such as the late Nnamdi Azikiwe. Well, on his part, Governor Obiano praised the delegates for their contributions at the national conference.
Anambra delegates to the 2014 National Conference came here this evening to brief me on the goings-on. I'm very impressed as to the contribution they've made so far and urge them to make sure that our interests are properly represented. Among other things we discussed.
We discussed our concerns over the appointment of a new Vice-Chancellor for the Nnamdi Azikiwe University. I'm rather passionate about it, and I'm glad that we discussed it, because it would appear that the person who came first in the criteria the selection panel used to pick a successor to Professor Ebuka was not ultimately the person that appears not to be the person chosen. That would be a terrible mistake in an academic institution like the university. An academic institution such as a university, excellence is everything. We understand that there was a candidate, Professor Nwakobi, who scored 89% over, and somebody who scored 80% over, and then somebody came a distant third with 70%. And the person who scored 89%, more than 89, has been sidestepped.
Time to take you through our business stories this hour. I am Adeshewa Josh. Nigeria's crude oil production for the month of May fell 70,000 barrels a day to 1.95 million. And this is according to a survey by analysts in Bloomberg. And it comes as OPEC's crude production climbed for the first time in 3 months, led by gains in Angola and Saudi Arabia. However, the International Energy Agency projects OPEC will need to provide an average of 30.7 million barrels a day in the last 6 months of the year to meet the rising demands. Meanwhile, Nigeria's foreign exchange reserves declined 2.62% month-on-month to $37.14 billion by May the 27th this year. According to data from the Central Bank of Nigeria, the reserves dropped from $38.14 billion a month earlier. This also represents a 23.28% decline from the $48.41 billion level a year ago. In company news, the board of Skye Bank PLC has assured investors that the bank would continue to add value and make shareholders' investments in the bank worthwhile. At the 8th annual general meeting of the bank in Lagos, Chairman Skye Bank PLC, Mr. Olatunde Ayeni, also promised that the bank will continue to add value and improve shareholders' returns. Our correspondent, Bisi Koka, reports.
It's the 8th annual general meeting of Skye Bank PLC, and gathered inside the grand ballroom of Oriental Hotel are management and staff of the bank, as well as shareholders. Having realized over 16 billion naira profits after tax in the year ended 2013, the lender thinks it's best to pay out a dividend of 30 kobo per share to its investors. For this, The shareholders are thrilled.
There are some banks that are paying 1 naira 50 kobo. But those banks, how much is their earnings per shares? How much is their share price? So how can we compare a bank like Skye Bank to those banks?
The board members of Skye Bank explain how the company realized its turnovers and foresee a brighter future for investors in the coming year.
With persistent investment in technology and with the redevelopment and continuous training of our people, we've been able to surmount the challenges. What I would tell shareholders is to expect a better result in the year. We will continue to improve on our performances, and we will continue to train our people to deliver the best and superior return to our shareholders.
One of the things we will do going forward is to refine the process for lending activities in the bank and ensure that we lend to the real sector of the economy, at the same time minimizing our costs, our risk. Secondly, we are refining the processes to make the banking services more user-friendly. Ease of accessibility, we are improving our IT platform. We are launching new e-channel products that people can do their transactions in the comfort of their homes.
Skye Bank's audited results shows that the financial institution ended 2013 with gross earnings of 127.34 billion naira and a profit before tax of 17.13 billion naira. BC Coker, Channels Television News.
Well, the low confidence in Nigerian bonds by investors in the capital market may have a turnaround if the rating of the securities is increased by the regulators. Compared with equities, the fixed income asset appears to be enjoying less patronage. Analysts are, however, advising that the issuers may also need to step up in their area of yields to attract more attention. Our correspondent Temple Ashaju reports.
The Nigerian bonds market is classified into three main areas: the federal government bonds, the state, and some corporates. I took up this stockbroker to give more insight into the performance of bonds in the capital markets. He explains the disparity in their confidence level.
Trading in the federal government bonds constitutes almost 99% at the secondary market level. Activities in the corporate bond sector is very, very low. On the states and municipal bonds sector is even lower.
Currently, there are 16 federal government bonds in the capital markets. The state government, however, accounts for 21 listed bonds. Corporate bonds are 18 in number, and brokers hold that the low appetite will improve based on better yields and ratings.
Bonds and the issuers should be appropriately rated so that investors will understand the risk that they are going to bear when they invest in those instruments. And of course, if the yields are also more favorable to investors than what they can obtain from fixed income securities, be they from the money market or the capital market, of course, investors will invest in those securities.
Added to the reason for the low performance of bonds in the capital market is because the institutional or wholesale investors dominate this market more than the retail investors. And that is because retail investments in this market is quite difficult or cumbersome to get their way in. This informs the reasons why equities get more attention from the investors when compared to the bonds markets. From the Nigerian Stock Exchange, Temple Ashaju, Channels Television.
Harriet Agbe joins us now with the closing figures from the market.
Hello and welcome to the Stock Market Report. Continued buy pressure as the equities market pushed key indicators higher on the last trading day for the month on the back of price gains recorded by some industrial goods, oil and gas and bank stocks. The all-share index jumped by almost 3% to finish at 41,474.39 points, while market capitalization grew further to close at 13.69 trillion naira. Market breadth improved as there was 48 gainers to 11 losers. Seplat Petroleum Development Company was the top price gainer, adding 23 naira 95 kobo to its share price to end the session at 658 naira 95 kobo. It's followed by Forte Oil. Now, the equity appreciated by almost 20 naira, and Dangote Cement with a 7 naira 99 kobo gain follows. On the flip side, price losses recorded by the top three, Carverton, Africa Prudential, and Fitson PLC, were minimal, less than 1 naira. The three most actively traded stocks were Guarantee Trust Bank, Access Bank, and Zenith Bank. At the end of the day's session, 671.26 million shares had been exchanged by investors in 5,869 deals for 11.87 billion naira. Those are the day's trading figures, and of course the last trading figures for the month of May. I'm Harriet Agbini.
And that's business news this hour. The news at 10 continues in a moment.
Still ahead on the news at 10, Arsenal manager Arsene Wenger tips Nigeria's Super Eagles to reach the knockout phase of the upcoming FIFA World Cup in Brazil. That's on sports. Do join us again.